Hi, I'm Bruce Jung from Belleville, Illinois, and this is my 1976 White Road Commander 2. Local company had it. It was an Oregon company, bought it brand new from a local white dealer in Highland, Illinois. Had a few other owners since then, but most of the miles were put on it with the Oregon company. It was a single axle, had Dayton wheels, spoke wheels, like I said. It had single exhaust. It was just
pretty rough.
Yeah, not rough really, but it wasn't. It was cared for when it was younger, but it was towards the end. It wasn't as much. When I was a kid, I was 11 years old, and my dad got Diesel Superintendent magazine, and I saw when they were coming out with this model in late '75, the new Road Commander 2s. I clipped out an article from that magazine and kept it all these years. Fast forward, I'm in my office looking at the backlot on the ATH website, and I see this truck, and it's in Perryville, Missouri, which is, a little over an hour away from me. So I called Rick. We worked out a deal on it, brought it home, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it because I had that article, and I knew exactly where that article was in my basement.
That you still had
I
from
still had from when I was 11 years old. So I had all the dimensions, everything I wanted to do with the striping, all of it was on there. And I also had a lot of white brochures and so on that all used this paint scheme in all the advertising they had. Knew what I wanted to do with it and just started doing it. Added an airliner cutoff on it, made it a tandem, switched it over wheels, fabbed the dual exhaust, started sandblasting.
You did a lot of that sort of work yourself,
I did all
right?
that myself. I sandblasted all and painted the frame, painted the engine mechanically. It was in really good shape, just needed belts, hoses, things like that, but it was mechanically very sound. Didn't need a lot in that respect. It took me about 10 months from start to finish. I was pretty aggressive with it. I wanted to get it done. So I knew if I let it go too long, I'd lose interest because it was such a big project. But the interior was just fantastic.
Is that original?
It's all original except
goodness.
for the seats. I had to recover the seats were just kind of like falling apart when you sat in them. They just kind of crunched. It was all dried out.
That is like spotless under there.
Yeah. It even had the original ether start can. I don't know if it was original. It had an ether start can in there. It's empty, but I was able to kind of pretty that up a little bit and put that in there. Did some rechroming on the air cleaner cover. Like I said, we fabbed the exhaust and then had it chromed. For Christmas, I gave my wife the air cleaner cover for chrome just as a little gag gift. Funny.
Does she like the truck?
She loves the truck. Okay. Yes, she does.
But she does not drive the truck.
No, she does not drive the truck, and we really don't drive it very far. But it is, it's mechanically very sound.
In case anyone can't quite tell, because it's quite bright out here, this is two different shades of red, a darker red.
Correct.
And a
and
brighter
that's exactly
red.
Like the paint code was from this original that I was able to. I found the paint codes and so on, and on eBay. I found the original white color schemes.
Way up there.
Yeah, it is.
This is a tall one.
Painted the dash. It is a little sun faded. It wasn't too bad. It's really not the best layout for it. Right now, I don't have a sleeper mattress. The one that was in there was riddled with mice droppings, so it wasn't so good. But
well, the interior itself is beautiful.
It's pretty nice. Air conditioning, all that works. Switched it over to 134A, and it works great. Really been pretty easy to do. Just really a lot of cleanup on the interior. And like I said, I painted the dash and the door jambs and so on, but not a lot to do there. Painted the seat bases. The carpet's original. It was covered up with plastic matting. And so it's really been maintained very well.
This is very reminiscent of Pete and Carl's White Western Star.
Yeah, they were here earlier, and they said theirs was very similar in that respect. We're both very fortunate. We had good interiors, and it seems like you can build off of that pretty well.
And the steering wheel's in pretty darn good shape,
yeah, it's
too.
Got little cracks in there, but all in all, it's pretty good. So the guy that drove it the majority of the time was super meticulous. Like I said, it was an Oregon company in Highland, Illinois, which is fairly close to me. Wicks, Oregon, bought it. They built church organs, custom church organs, and they would
Haul the pipes with
haul
this?
the pipes and everything. They'd assemble it. They'd put it all together, put it in a trailer, take it to wherever the church was. If it was East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, it mattered not. They would take it. Then their crew would work off that trailer, putting the organ in the church. It never had a heavy load really on it. It really didn't have a lot of miles put on it either.
But it had to deal with organists, and they're pretty weird.
That part's probably so. I don't.
Let's see. Okay, down the phone goes. One step. Railing.
There you go. You got it.
Why is it easier to get out of cab overs
I don't know.
than it is? But
It's never easy to get in.
You were telling me that as a kid, or not a kid, but as a younger guy, you drove cab overs.
My dad had a cab over Astro when I first started driving, and I would do LTL runs. And I would make 20 to sometimes 30 stops a day. And we had swing door trailers. So, it was a minimum of sometimes 50 to 60 times a day in and out of a cab over. And I would climb up there, like it was nothing. And I'd jump out most of the times, which is a horrible thing to do for your knees. But, that's why that might.
It doesn't hurt when you're young.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt when you're younger. But as you get older, it does.
Or you could be like an uncle who just decided to walk right out of the cab over after a couple of beverages and forgot that he wasn't in a car, opened the door, and just went, stunk.
That would not be good.
No. This is quite the intense setup here for the
exhaust. Obviously the step plate and the quarter fenders are not factory. It's pretty much the only thing I kind of went off script on and kind of added a little to it that's a little more modern.
Well, looky there.
I was fortunate enough to be on the cover of Wheels of Time in 22, so quite an honor.
And you had a local paint shop do the stripes, is that right?
Right. I did the frame, engine, and then Craftsman Industries in St. Charles, Missouri. I wanted a body shop locally to do the stripes. I knew it was a little too much for me. I love to paint, but I just didn't think I could handle it.
The curve.
Yeah. So Craftsman, I called them to see if, they do wraps and so on for us on our van trailers for our fleet. So I thought, they can handle this. I got talking to my sales rep, and she says, well, I think we could paint those. And oh my God, that would be incredible if you could. And they did. If you look at that vent on the other side there, it's got 3 colors in the vent itself, which is it's just perfect. So I was able to find new windshields. I've really been able to find.
How hard was that?
It wasn't hard at all. We got a really good glass company that we deal with. I was able to get new lights.
Did they make the windshields, or did they find some
they had
for
them.
you?
They had them. Yeah, it was really pretty seamless. So
new horns, new lights.
Yeah, new horns, new lights. I was able to find a lot of it on eBay and all those other sources that you go digging on when you need parts for old trucks. New tires, wheels, things like that. That's easy. Didn't have too much difficulty getting parts for it.
Is that the question people ask a lot for old trucks?
Decided to put stainless exhaust on it instead of the guards. I only had one guard because it was a single stack before. That was another thing. Maybe I did bling out a little bit as well as the stainless exhaust, but I like the look of it. For the most part, it's pretty much like the brochures, just a few extra little blingy items.
But if guys would have had the opportunity
to
bling them, they would have totally done it.
Absolutely.
Is that the original bumper?
It is the original bumper. It's only got one little dinghy on it, and I accidentally did that pushing it with a forklift one time. But otherwise, it is the aluminum, chrome-plated aluminum bumper. I was able to find the square fog lights that are on the brochures. My sister-in-law redid the badging for me, painted that, and got that all in good shape. So, yeah.
Were those the original ones too?
They are all original.
Repainted them?
It's been redone, yes. And the thing I like about this is it's kind of a common workman's. It's a deluxe version of a working man's truck. There's a lot of people who came up to me today and said, "Wow, I started my career with a truck like that. Didn't quite look like this one, but it's nice."
Or they just plain didn't last as long.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of fleets you had them, but really plain Jane versions of it, and they just wore them out and they ended up in the junkyards.
And one last thing. It's not metal, right?
No, that is plastic. Yeah.
That surprised me.
Yeah, and they use that same grill on the Road Boss 1, Road Boss 2, the Road Expediter. White was they did a lot of uniform parts. For instance, this cab could have been on the conventional version, the Road Boss 2. It's the same cab, but they added a nose to it, basically. They were very. They would not have the
Flat
doghouse
floor,
in. They would
yeah.
have a flat floor.
Everything else.
But basically, the basic cab design is the same. They were big on that uniformity.
Well, it's awful pretty.
Thank you. I love it.
You have some cool trucks.
It's been a lot of fun.